Shrimp cocktail is one of the easiest, elegant dishes that you can make, and it doesn't take a long time at all. But there are some tips and tricks that you want to know about before you make it so that you end up with those plump, succulent, perfectly cooked shrimp. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is extremely simple and a little bit elegant. It's shrimp cocktail. Now there's only one main ingredient in shrimp cocktail, and that's the shrimp, because whether you use the cocktail sauce or another dipping sauce is really up to you. But the shrimp is the star of a really good shrimp cocktail. So I'm gonna share with you the best size, the best type of shrimp, so that you can have those succulent, perfectly cooked shrimp when you make your shrimp cocktail. So the first thing is the size. You want to use a jumbo to an extra jumbo size for your shrimp cocktail. It's going to give you the best results. Don't go up to colossal. Big is not better in this instance because the bigger the shrimp, the tougher it is. So we don't want to go up to the colossal size. We want to stick with the jumbo or even extra jumbo. They're about 15 count per pound is what I like to aim for. You also want to get the right type of shrimp. You definitely want to get shrimp that is not cooked. You also don't want to get the easy peel shrimp. You want to pick out shrimp that is wild caught, not farm raised. You want to pick out shrimp that has the shell on. Okay. Now, if you really want to go the extra step, you can get them with the head on too, but I don't do that. You would cut it off for this recipe anyway. But I do make sure that they are wild caught, they are jumbo, and they are not easy peel. What easy peel is first of all, the shells are like paper and the flesh is even softer. So it really does not hold up for a really good shrimp cocktail. So what you want to do is just find nice, plump, they can be frozen, previously frozen shrimp that have the shells intact, okay? No easy peel here, okay? All right, then we wanna prep the shrimp. That's the next step. And that is as important for a very elegant looking dish as it is picking out the right type of shrimp. You wanna leave the tail on, but you wanna take the shell and the legs off. The easiest way to do this, I've found, is just to simply pull the legs off here, holding firm, but not too firm, this shell, okay? And just take the legs off. You could even use a knife and cut them off, but I just usually just pull them right off. And then unwrap the shrimp, holding down at the tail so that you don't accidentally go too far. You just sort of peel the shell away. Now, sometimes it comes off really easy, and sometimes it doesn't. Like this one's sticking a little bit, and I'm not sure why. There we go. But so just be gentle with it so you're not pulling off the flesh, okay, along with the shell. Like this one's stuck on this side a little bit. It's going to be fine though. And then again, down here, but hold the tail so that you don't pull that part off. Okay, so now we have our peeled shrimp. Now we need to remove the vein that runs along the back end. Now, you don't absolutely have to do this, but it is usually done for shrimp cocktail. Just take a paring knife or any kind of a sharp knife and just slit the back just a little bit, okay? You don't want to go too far. We don't want to butterfly the shrimp. We just want to get this area exposed so that we can remove the vein that's there. Now this one really doesn't have one, just a little bit down here. So I just take my knife. And for shrimp cocktail, I don't do this any other time, but like I said, this is a little bit of a fancy dish, and you really want it to look beautiful when you put it in your martini glass or you put it in your, whatever serving dish you're gonna use. So what I do after I open up the back and get the vein out, which this one didn't have one, so hopefully the next one I do for you will, is I lay it down on a cutting board and I trim this extra piece off, okay? And the reason why I do that is because when the shrimp cooks in the style of cooking that we're doing today, which is sous vide cooking, it looks funny at the end and it's just not as beautiful. So I like to take the extra time and cut both sides, both little flaps off so that when I get my shrimp out of the sous vide bag, they are perfectly beautiful and they don't have this kind of strange bump on the backside. All right, there we go. Now this one, like I said, peeled off some of the outer layer, but it's gonna be just fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. So there we go. We have a perfectly prepared shrimp for our shrimp cocktail. I'm gonna do that one more time. Hopefully this one has a vein in it, and maybe the shell won't stick this time. So peel off. And sometimes I'll just peel off the legs and unwrap it from that section and then move on to the next. So that's another way that I'll do it sometimes. It doesn't really matter how you do it. As long as you get the legs and the shell off and leave the tail on, it'll be perfectly fine. All right, there we go. That looks good. This one peeled a lot easier for me. Oops, but I have a little bit of a shell here, and I'm gonna just peel that off. So now all I have left is the shell on the tail, and we're gonna take the paring knife and just make a tiny slit down the back, starting at the top and going all the way down to where the shell meets down there. This one doesn't have much of one either. As I open it up, there's really nothing in here to clean out, but sometimes there will be a darker or even a yellow or orange looking vein that goes down there, and you want to take that out. And see how I have this flap? This one really gave me a good flap. So that flap, while it's perfectly edible and fine, when you're done sous videing your shrimp, it's just not attractive. And that's the only reason why I take it off. Now the shells of the shrimp, do not throw those away, okay? You notice I have a bowl here because I've already peeled the other 6 shrimp there. Don't throw those away. Put them in a baggie, put them in the freezer, and make shrimp stock. You will thank me for that. It gives so much flavor to any kind of chowders or anything that you want to make that's seafood based. It is simply amazing, and it's wonderful in shrimp scampi as well. That's what I use instead of broth in my shrimp scampi. It's just delicious. All right, get this one finished cleaning up, and then we're going to put a little bit of seasoning on them, just a little bit. All right, let me quickly clean up my cutting board, wash my hands. We're gonna get to seasoning and bagging up the shrimp because there is a little bit of a trick to that as well. All right, before we go any further though, let's get the Ninja Foodie set up because it's gonna take a few minutes to come up to temperature, and might as well get that started now. So what I have here is the inner liner pot in. I have 10 cups of water in the pot, and that's what I start off with, and for this it's gonna be plenty. You wanna put your pressure lid on and keep it vented in the back there. We're gonna turn the Ninja Foodie on. We're gonna select the sous vide function, and we wanna take the temperature up to 140, okay? And hit the start button. Now what's gonna happen is the water's gonna heat up, get up to the temperature that we wanna cook our shrimp at, and then it'll tell me to add the food. So while that's happening, let's go ahead and get our shrimp seasoned up. I like to just simply use salt. Now, if you wanted an Old Bay style shrimp cocktail, you absolutely could put some Old Bay. But what I do is just grab a pinch of salt and sprinkle it over the shrimp and sort of mix it in to get them pretty well coated, okay? And that's the only seasoning I do. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention about the shrimp, and I should have mentioned it earlier, is if you peel a shrimp and it feels really soft, like kind of mushy, it's not gonna hold up very well for your shrimp cocktail. So you may want to either use that for another purpose, or you can always eat it yourself and then just add in another couple of shrimp. Also, on occasion, the shrimp come out from the sous vide bath a little bit mushier than you would like for a shrimp cocktail. Now that's only happened to me twice, but if you have a certain number of shrimp that you know you need, you're gonna wanna add in probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 extra, just in case. And plus, you get to taste them. So that's a little bonus there. All right, so now we've got our shrimp seasoned and we need to get our vacuum seal bag. You don't have to use a vacuum seal bag. You can absolutely use a Ziploc bag. That's perfectly fine, but I'm gonna use a freezer bag that is gonna be vacuum sealed for this recipe. I just find it easier to do. All right, so I like to put a tablespoon of butter in the bag with the shrimp. I think it poaches it in that delicious butter and just makes it taste better. It's totally optional. You don't have to add anything to the bag. You could even jazz it up more. You could put in some roasted garlic if you wanted, or you could put in some cooked minced garlic, but you do want to make sure that your garlic is cooked or it's not going to really do what you want it to do in the sous vide bag. This sous vide cook time is very quick, only 15 minutes. So then I take my shrimp. Now this is the trick, okay? This is the thing that I want you to know. Don't keep them like this because they're gonna cook like that and then they're not gonna sit nicely on your dish, okay? So what you wanna do is make sure that they are in the position that you want to serve them in the bag. And I just put this in. Now the butter, I just try to stay away from it so I don't get my hands, all buttered up, but I just take the shrimp, put it down here, and put it in the position that I want it to be in the bag. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, it's gonna cook, set up just like that, and they will all fit perfectly on your dish that you're gonna use, which usually I use either a martini glass or a margarita glass for serving. Today I'm gonna show you in the margarita glass because I like the little thing in the bottom that holds the cocktail sauce. I just think it's really pretty. All right, so repeat that for all of the shrimp. And you want the shrimp to be in a single layer, okay? So if you wanted to make, 20 shrimp, you can do that. You can either use 2 bags or you can use a larger bag. Just make sure that it will completely submerge under the water for sous vide cooking. All right, now I'm gonna get this bag sealed up and we're gonna wait. We just have another minute or so until we're ready to add the shrimp into the sous vide bath. And I'm using the Ninja Foodie for this, but you can use any standalone sous vide circulator for this recipe. It'll work perfectly fine, okay? All right, that's it. So we have 8 shrimp in our bag with 1 tablespoon of butter seasoned with salt. And now we're just waiting for it to tell me to add food. So while that's happening, let's talk about the temperature. Now there is a range of temperatures that you can choose for cooking your shrimp. I tried 135, but I really was not happy with the texture. It was a little too soft and just didn't give me that bite that I like with shrimp cocktail. So I went up to 140 degrees for 15 minutes and that was perfect. Now, you probably, if you sous vide cook, you probably have heard, oh, you can leave it in as long as you want. But that really isn't true, especially with shrimp. What I notice is even the difference between 15 minutes and 30 minutes change the texture. The longer it's in the bath, the more it breaks down and seems to get like a little bit soft and too soft for a shrimp cocktail. So I really recommend sticking with just the 15 minutes at 140 degrees. But of course, you could play around with those temps and times and get the shrimp cooked exactly the way you like. If you aren't sure, you could put 1 shrimp in a bag, throw it in, let it cook for, 15 minutes, give it a taste. If that wasn't good enough, how you like it, then go up to 20-25 minutes until you get it perfect for you. But 140 for 15 minutes was perfect when I tried it. And if you're watching and you have the Ninja Foodie, but you don't have the sous vide function, I get asked a lot, can I still sous vide cook? With most things, it's really time consuming and hard to do. However, with something like shrimp that is so quick and easy and you can tell by the color change when they're done, and there's really no harm in eating them if they're slightly undercooked. What I would do if you wanted to give it a try is turn on the keep warm function. Let your water heat up and put your bag in there and watch it. Keep an eye on it. When it starts to turn that pink color, then take one out. You can either take a temperature, make sure it's reached the 140 degrees, or you could take a bite and see if it's the right texture for you. You could start off with that and then do a little saute in butter to finish it up. So really, there's plenty of ways that you can make the shrimp cocktail, whether you have the sous vide machine or not. I just like using the sous vide function because it cooks the shrimp perfectly. And it's really easy to overcook shrimp because they cook so fast. All right, there's our cue. Now, it'll say add food just for a second, and then it'll start the 30 seconds you have to add your food. It's not gonna take us that long today. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the lid up. Now usually I do a temperature of the water. I'm not gonna worry about that today because I've tested this so many times, but don't be surprised if you do take a temperature and you're using the Ninja Foodie, this model, okay? The one with the pressure lid, that your temperature is about 10 degrees over. It corrects itself during the sous vide process. So no worries there. All right, and then we wanna go ahead and put our shrimp in. Make sure they're submerged. If they're not submerged all the way under the water, you can put a bowl in there. So, I mean, I could set this, fill it with water, and get it to keep my shrimp down, which I think I'll do that, okay? And then you could do that, or a plate upside down, or any kind of a weight will work just fine if you have something light like shrimp and you want a sous vide. All right, now lid on, and we're gonna take our time down to 15 minutes and hit start. So that's all we need to do. When the 15 minutes is up, we will get our shrimp out, get them onto a plate, and get them immediately in the refrigerator to chill. Now, if you didn't do the butter and you didn't do any seasoning or any garlic or anything like that, you just put the shrimp in plain, you can just drop the whole bag in an ice bath to quickly chill. That's gonna keep it from continuing to cook, and it's going to chill it, because usually when you serve shrimp cocktail, the shrimp are cold. All right, we are all done, so we can go ahead and open up the lid here. They look so good. Oh my gosh. Pour the water out of the bowl or the plate if you used one, and then just grab your bag out. All right, look at that. They're perfectly shaped. They are perfectly cooked. They look so beautiful. Now, I don't take the butter out with them, okay? Because they're not gonna look very good once they're chilled if they've got chunks of hardened butter. They would taste good, but they would not look good in our shrimp cocktail. So I just take the shrimp out of the bag and discard the butter. I thank it for doing its job of giving these shrimp a little butter flavor, and I just discard it. But look at these. Oh my gosh, and they're perfectly shaped. They are perfect. And so far, none of them have gotten mushy at all, which is great news. They feel like the perfect texture. That one curled up a little bit more than I would like, so did this one. But that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna pop these in the fridge and let them chill completely. So maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then we'll be ready to plate up our shrimp cocktail. Meanwhile, I'm gonna make up the cocktail sauce too. All right, so I don't measure, but basically I do about half of a cup of ketchup to a couple teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, maybe a tablespoon of horseradish. That depends on how spicy you like it. I can tell if it's spicy enough just by the way it looks, and that looks perfect to me. And then we're gonna take our lemon and just take one little wedge, hold it up so you don't get seeds in there, and squeeze away. And that was about a half of a teaspoon, and that's perfectly fine. And then mix it all up, get it in the refrigerator to chill, and your cocktail sauce is ready to serve. All right, so we're gonna plate up our shrimp cocktail. These are completely chilled now. They are just gorgeous. And I grab a glass, it could be a martini glass. I like to fill the bottom with the cocktail sauce if that's how you're gonna serve it. And then we just place our shrimp around the edge. Now, how many you put on is up to you, okay? So no rules of thumb there. You could put just 4 on one side. You could put all 8 of them on, however many you want to serve. Now, this one might give me a little trouble staying on. No, it didn't. But I did want to show you, just in case you have one that's not, these are all perfect. And that's because of that bag trick. They really are going on perfect. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is so beautiful. But let's say one of your shrimp kept wanting to fall one way or the other. You can fix that by taking your knife and just put a little bit of a groove in the shrimp there where you want it to sit, and it will sit perfectly on your glass for you, okay? So that's another little trick in case you have a shrimp that was not curled right and isn't sitting right on the glass. And then I do the same thing with the lemon. I just take a little knife and go right down where I want it to sit. And then there we go. And that is our beautiful shrimp cocktail. Now it's time to taste them. All right, here goes. Now, the perfect shrimp cocktail will be a slight little bite, but then very tender shrimp. They should not be rubbery at all, and they should be bursting with fresh flavor. Here we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. They are amazing. If you like a little lemon, squeeze some lemon on top. Oh my gosh, so amazingly delicious. And as you can see, sous videing the shrimp makes making shrimp cocktail even easier than it is if you were gonna steam them or, saute them. It's just so hands off. It's amazing. And the results are gonna be perfect each and every time. And making your own cocktail sauce is incredibly easy too. And what I love about it is, number one, it tastes better than the store-bought kind. Number two, you control the ingredients. You don't have to use ketchup from the store. You can make your own ketchup and use that instead. You can control how much horseradish you use to make it as spicy or as mild as you like, or you know what? You can even skip the horseradish if you don't like that, because the Worcestershire sauce gives the ketchup a little boost of flavor and then the lemon gives it some brightness. So any way you want to make it, it's going to be delicious, but you have to give this shrimp cocktail a try.